Family members love each other. First of all, let's start with the first vocabulary word. We are talking about family. What is family? So when we talk about family, a group of people, a group of people. So remember, a family is a group of people. Don't say a family as one person, right? If you want to say, you know, like how many people are in your family, don't say how many families do you have. You only have one family, but you might have 5 people in your family. So how many people are in your family? And those people are members, family members, right? So how many family members do you have? Or how many people are in your family? A family is a group of people. What about this group of people? What do? One, they live together. They live together and care about. They care about each other, right? They care about each other. They take care of each other. Take care of. That's another way. Take care of each other means you support each other. You help each other. You care about each other. You take care of each other. You help each other. Especially care about means you have some emotional feeling. You love each other. And that's very important for families, isn't it? Family members love each other. Okay, this is a good picture of a family. Usually we have father, mother. She looks very young, almost like a daughter. Daughter and son. But this is a family. But remember, there are many kinds of families these days, right? It's not just father, mother, and kids. Sometimes there's only one parent, but there's still a family, right? Sometimes the parents are missing, just brother and sister, and the parents have died. So brother and sister, they're still family though. Okay, it could be aunt or uncle. They are also family members. Okay, let's take a look at a video, actually many videos of different families. What do families do together? There's many different activities. As we can see, father and son go fishing together. They have a good time at the beach. Father and son playing soccer together. Mother and daughter building sandcastles at the beach. The whole family going bike riding. And finally, again, the whole family, after their bike riding, they're camping in the mountains, right? So families do many activities together. There are many family activities. Families go out and they do things together. They care about each other. They have fun together. They spend time together. Now, one thing that families do is share, right? It's very important to share things. Share means to have or use something with someone, not alone. If you use something alone by yourself, you're not sharing it, and you shouldn't do that, right? If you have something like a toy, some food, and there's a person near you, like a brother, a sister, or even a friend, right? You should share that with them, right? When they have pizza, right? You don't just eat the pizza by yourself. You'll get fat. And you're being greedy, right? Don't do that. You want to share something. So don't be greedy. What is greedy? Greedy is someone who just wants it for themselves. They say, no, go away, right? It's mine. It's only mine. Don't be greedy. Share things, right? Share your pizza, share your toys, share your time with each other, right? Love each other and care about each other. So have or use something with someone else. Share what you've got. It's a good idea. Now, when we talk about families, we can talk about roles. What is a role? A role is like a position, or it's like something that people do. For example, the part a person plays in a group is a role. There are different kinds of roles in a family. For example, there is a mother role. The mother has a role. It's a part she plays. It's not really playing, she's fulfilling it, but she's playing that role. She's playing a part. You can think about what actions does a mother usually or typically do. Well, a mother takes care of the kids, usually at home. If she's not working, she'll take care of the kids at home. She'll prepare meals. Usually she washes the clothes or she cleans the house. Those are traditional roles. Not all mothers do this, of course, but that would be a mother role. What about a father's role? A father usually, typically, goes out and earns money. He comes home, he also teaches the kids how to play sports, right? He takes them fishing like we saw in the video. These are father roles. He gives advice to the children. Of course, mom gives advice too. These are roles for parents. But kids also have roles too, right? Children's roles, children. And we can also talk about son and daughter, but usually we talk about children because they have the same roles. Their role is to obey or follow their parents, clean their rooms, study hard. Those are the roles that children have in the family, right? Also to love and respect each other and to help their parents out when they can. Okay, so everybody has a different role in a family. Everybody has certain actions that they play in a group. They fulfill those actions, they do those actions. That is their role. What is your role in your family? Okay, that's a good question to ask. Of course, help. Now, families, like I said, they care about each other. They help each other. To help is to give someone assistance. And we can also take a look at that word. To assist is also a verb. To assist. To assist means to help. To help someone or to assist someone is to help them overcome some difficulty, right? If somebody's having some hard time or they're struggling to do something, you help them. You help them succeed. You help them achieve their goal. You give them assistance. You help them do what they want to do. And that's very important. Families help each other. Okay, before I talked about care about, right? Talked about care about, I talked about take care of. You take care of other people. Take care of. You care about. You could also say care about, you care for somebody. It means to give attention. So you give attention to someone or something. Mother cares about her kids. Of course, she gives them attention. She cares for the kids. That means she gives them help. She takes care of them. She supports them. And of course, she helps them. She gives them attention. Her attention is focused on the kids. And of course, we care about each other. It's not just the mother's role to care about the kids. It's also the father's role. It's also the older brother or sister's role to take care of the younger kids. So a very important role for all family members is to care about each other. We care for each other. We take care of each other. That's really what family does, and that's a very important part of the family. You always take care of your family. Okay. Now, another thing we can talk about, something interesting about families, is that people inside the family, remember the family is a group, there are different members of the family, different people in the family, but the family members are alike. They look alike and they might act alike. In other words, in the same way. So people can look alike. For example, people tell me I look like my father, right? So my father and I, we look alike. But people can also act alike. They behave in the same way, and that's interesting. My brother and I, we kind of think the same way, so we think alike. Sometimes we do the same things. We act alike, right? So you can look alike, you can act alike. It means in the same way. Okay, so of course family members do these things. They look alike, like brothers, especially twins. These are twins, right? Twins, of course, look alike. But even brothers, my brother is 3 years younger than I am, right? We act alike, right? My father is, of course, a lot older than I am, but we look alike, right? So you can look alike with your family members even if you aren't twins or the same age. People look alike and they act alike because they're from the same family. Brush. Now here's a word that's interesting with family and home. It's one of our perhaps responsibilities to take care of ourselves, right? Brush means to clean with something made of short hairs. So if you look at this baby, this is a very smart baby, right? Usually babies don't do this by themselves, but this is a smart baby because this baby is brushing I'm not sure, brushing her teeth at a very early age. So brush. When we talk about brush, there's a couple of things we usually talk about. Brush your teeth. Or what else do you brush? You brush your hair. Brush your hair. And remember, use a possessive pronoun. Your hair, his hair, her hair. Don't say brush the teeth. The teeth? Whose teeth? The teeth over here? No, you brush your teeth, right? He's brushing his teeth. He's not brushing the teeth. He's brushing his teeth. She's brushing her hair, right? Brush your hair. So use possessive pronoun. Your, his, or her with brush. Brush something. You usually brush your teeth, or you brush your hair. That's about it. You don't brush your skin. That's crazy. Brush your hair, brush your teeth. Those are the two main ones. Okay. This is another thing that you need to do as part of the family. So, as part of a family, you have different things to do. These are chores. Let's talk about that a little bit. Chores. Of course, one chore that you need to do is to take care of yourself, brush your teeth, maybe brush your hair in the morning. Chores are work that you do around the house. One chore is to make the bed. Make the bed. To tidy the blanket or covers. To tidy a blanket or covers on your bed. When you get up in the morning, you should make your bed. Tidy it up. So your mother doesn't come in and say, hey, your bed is messy. Your bed is messy. Messy means it's all, messy. It's all everywhere. The blanket is over. The pillows are all over the place. Maybe the pillows are on the floor. It's messy, right? Clean it up. Tidy it up. Make the bed. That's one of the chores you need to do around the house. What's another one? Maybe you could say, set the table. Set the table. One of the roles of children is to do chores around the house. Put dishes on the table. Put the dishes and the silverware on the table, ready to eat. So mom says, set the table. Make the bed. Take out the trash. Clean your room. These are all chores that people do. And we have chores in families.
American Textbook Reading. Grade 1. Social Studies. Book 1. Lesson 1. Family and Home. Family. A group of people who live together and care about each other. Share. To have or use something with someone. Role. The part a person plays in a group. Help. To give someone assistance. Care about. To give attention to someone or something. Alike. In the same way. Brush. To clean with something made of short hairs. Make the bed. To tidy blankets or covers.
The first word we're going to talk about is class. So if we talk about class, what are we talking about? We're talking about a period of time. It's a period of time to teach a group of students. So when we say class, we can say when. When is your class? So that's what we're talking about with this one. When is your class? My class is at 10 o'clock, or it's from 10 to 11. So my class is from 10 to 11. When is your class? It's a period of time. In that period of time, you are supposed to do certain things. Listen to the teacher. Raise your hand. That's what we're going to talk about in this lesson, those kinds of rules. Well, first of all, where are you when you are in class? When you are in class, where are you? You can say, I'm in school, right? But school is a big building. In that building, there are many smaller rooms. You are in the classroom. Classroom. It's a very easy word because it's the room where you have class, right? It's two words, class, room. It's a room. What kind of room? A classroom. A place in school used to teach a group of students. A group of students, okay? By the way, when we talk about class, we've just learned class is the time that you study with a teacher, but we can also, there's another definition for class, and we could say it's a group of students. So that can also be used as class. How big is your class? How big? Whoops, that's a B. How big is your class? In that way, class is a group of students. So there's two definitions for class. One, when, the period of time. Two, the group of students. So when is your class? That's the period of time. How big is your class? That's a group of students. Now, when you have a class, you're in a classroom. When you are together with your class, you are in a classroom. That's the place where the class meets. That's the place where the class is held. Okay, let's move on. Now, a principal, who is a principal at your school? The principal is the head teacher. Of course, there are many teachers in a school. In your classroom, you have one teacher. But the head teacher means like the chief, right? The top boss or the boss of all the teachers. The person who is in charge of a school. And that's an interesting thing. She is, or he is in charge of. That means that the principal is in charge of a school. They are the person who is like the top boss at the school. The person who is responsible for the entire school. That's the person who makes all the rules, makes sure everybody's doing their job, and make sure that all the students are behaving properly. You don't want to go to the principal's office. If you go to the principal's office, that means you're in trouble. So stay away from the principal's office, okay? Be a good student, okay? Hopefully you will not have to go to the principal's office. Of course, the principal is a nice person, right? But unfortunately, part of their job is to talk to the bad students, right? And make sure that they don't do the bad thing again. That's part of their job. So usually you meet your teacher every day, but you don't want to meet the principal every day, okay? You want to stay out of the principal's office. Let's move on. Okay, now we're talking about rule. On the first slide, when we first introduced this lesson, we were talking about rules to follow in school. What is a rule? A rule is instruction. Instruction means something that an adult or somebody who is in power, they tell you what to do. That's an instruction about what people must do, or must not do. So there are things that you should do in a school or wherever you are at home. There are things that you should not do. Things that we should do, things that we should not do. Must do or must not do. Same thing. What are those things? If we look very carefully, we can see some rules. 1, listen. Listen when someone else is speaking. So if you're in your class and another student is speaking, you should listen. Wait till they're finished, then you can talk. But you should listen first. That's a rule. Work quietly at your desk. Don't run around making noise, right? Work at your desk quietly. Don't disturb the other students. That's another rule. Don't disturb. Whoops, where did the T go? Don't disturb the other students. The other students. Okay, ignore that. Okay, don't disturb the other students. Okay, that's another rule. That's something you don't do. Okay, raise your hand when you need help. That's a very common rule. So these are things that we do. These are things that we don't do. They are rules. Now, when we talk about rules, These are types of responsibilities. We are responsible for following the rules. We are responsible to follow the rules. That is our responsibility. Follow the rules. And responsibility is something that people should do. Something that we should do as students is follow the rules at school. So that is our responsibility. It's something we should do. This teddy bear, okay, something this teddy bear should do is wear a seatbelt, right? No, that's crazy, right? It's just an example. But if you are riding in a car, it's your responsibility to wear your seatbelt. It's your parents' responsibility to make sure you're wearing a seatbelt. It's what people should do. What should you do? Those are your responsibilities. One responsibility is to follow the rules. Why do we follow rules? Why should we follow rules? Because it makes life difficult? No, not just, sure, rules might make life difficult, but there's a more important reason. There's a very important reason we follow rules, and that is to make life fair. When we talk about fair, we mean in a way that is right and honest. In other words, we want to be right means correct. We want to behave in the right way. We want to behave in the honest way. Why? Because that's fair for everybody. One person shouldn't have an advantage over another. We shouldn't take advantage of other people. Take advantage of. If you take advantage of another person, it's because you are lying to them. So you take advantage of their belief in you. You break their trust in you. If you take advantage of somebody, you might steal something from somebody else. This is taking advantage of other people. We shouldn't do that because that causes problems. That causes fights. Other people, their feelings are hurt. If everything is fair, everybody is treated the same way, then everything is fair and everybody is happy. So, if you act in a way that is right and you are honest, everybody will be happy. You will be proud of yourself. Other people will like you because you're correct and you are honest. So everybody is happy. And this, of course, you should be fair. Oh, and of course, when we talk about fair, we also talk about balanced. Okay? Now, follow, I talked about that before. Follow means to obey. So before I taught you guys, follow the rules. Remember, follow the rules because it's your responsibility, right? So we follow the rules because it's our responsibility. Follow means to obey. Obey is also very similar to this situation. This boy is teaching his dog, the rules, sit, right? Stay. And the dog is obeying. The dog is following what the boy is saying. Of course, we're not dogs, but we should also follow the rules because that's fair for everybody else. And it's our responsibility to follow the rules. Okay? So follow your teacher, follow your principal, follow your parents. Okay? They will teach you the rules. And then when you get older, your children will follow you. Okay.
Lesson 2. Time for school. Class. A period of time to teach a group of students. Classroom. A place in school used to teach a group of students. Principal. The head teacher of a school. Rule. An instruction about what people must do or must not do. Responsibility. Something that people should do. Fair. In a way that is right and honest. Follow. To obey.
But first, let's talk about community. What exactly is community? Community is a place. It's a place where people live, work, and play together. Think about where you live. You might live in a village, a town, or a big city. But each place has a community. A community in a village is probably the whole village, right? That's the whole village is a community. If you live in a larger town or even a big city, the city isn't a community. That's too big. You can't know everybody in the city. But you probably know everybody in your neighborhood, or you know most of the people in your neighborhood. The store that you and your mom go to, you probably know the people in the store. You go to that store a lot. The bank where you go, you probably know the bank nearby. These are places you go to. And of course, the school in your neighborhood, you know the teachers and you know the students there. They are all part of your community. So a community is a place where people live, work, play together. Work and study, by the way. So this is a good picture of a community. A community is a smaller area, right? An area where you can walk around. Not a big city, right? But a small part of the city where your house is, where there are places around for you to do things. That is your community, okay? So community is the place where you typically go and you do your business, and you play, and you work, and you live there, okay? So that is a community. What kinds of things can we find in the community? Well, we can find neighbors. A neighbor is a person living near your house. Those are your neighbors. So who are your neighbors? Think about that. There are people living near your house. Those people are your neighbors. By the way, the people living right next door, we call them next door neighbor. Next door neighbor. Next door because they're right next door, right? If you're living in an apartment building, you go out of your door, the next door over or the next door across, those are your yapjeep saram, right? Yapjeep saram is next door neighbor. They're the people who live right next to you, so next door neighbor. But neighbor also can mean people who live in your neighborhood or community, right? People who live near you. They don't have to be yapjeep saram. They could be, what do you say, iut saram, right? Anybody who lives in the area of your house. Those are your neighbors, okay? Probably you know many of your neighbors. Okay, let's move on. Address. The address is the description or the very detailed numbers and words that describe exactly where you live. The details are, for example, the numbers, 150 West, 45 Street, also the names of the places where you live. So this is an address. You need to know the address of the place where you work or live, right? You guys know your address where you live, where your house is. Your parents know the address of the place where they work. If you want to send a letter or a package to somebody at their house or their office, you need to know the address. And you write the address on the envelope or the package, and the post office sends it. So an address are the details. How can I find that person's house? How can I find that person's office? I need to know the address. So what is your address? Right? Think about that. What is your address? Do you know it? If you don't know it, ask your mom. Write it down. Keep it with you. It's important information to know. Okay. We also have symbol. Now, symbol is interesting. Why do we need to know about symbols? Well, what is a symbol anyway? A symbol is a sign, a number, or a letter with a certain meaning. Take a look at these. These are symbols. Why do we need to know symbols? Because in our community, in our neighborhood, there are many places that we can find very easily by just looking at the symbols. We don't have to look at the whole word. We can just look at a picture or a number or a sign, and we can know right away, aha, that is a men's bathroom, that is a woman's bathroom. go to the right bathroom, right? Okay, so you will know very quickly if you look at the symbol on the sign, aha, I know what that is. I know where to go. So symbols help us out by letting us know where things are very quickly. There are symbols, of course, for the bathroom, right? These are symbols for the bathroom. Where is the bathroom, right? 화장실 어디 있습니까? Right? Where is the bathroom? If you see these symbols, you know right away. There are also symbols for the taxi stand or the bus stop. Or perhaps you're trying to find a school. Sometimes you see a picture of a school with an arrow pointing that way. These are all symbols. They help us quickly know right away where things are. So symbols are very useful. Okay, where do we find symbols? We also find symbols on a map, right? A map is a drawing of the Earth's surface, showing the position of things, right? This can be a map. Usually, when we talk about maps, we're talking about street maps. A street map is very useful because it tells you where the streets are, how they intersect, and where places are. Actually, if you look at this map closely, you can see many symbols, right? Symbols are also letters. We see H. We see some places P. H is probably for hotel or hospital. P is usually for parking. So if you're driving your car, you want to know where can I park? So you find the P, you can park there. So a map shows the different streets and it has many symbols on the map. Okay. Now, when you use a map, you need to know about directions. Directions are like north, south, west, east, right? But it can also be, directions can also be go right, go left, go straight ahead. Those are also directions, okay? So directions, the point or position, such as north, south, east, or west. So usually, when we look at a map, we have north, right? North on the top, south on the bottom. On the right side, we have east, and on the left side, we have west. This is like our compass marking, our compass on a map. Compass, right? These are compass directions, because if you use a compass, it will show you which way is north, and you can figure it out. But also, directions are also right. You could say left, and you can also say straight ahead. Straight ahead. So if you're in a taxi and you're giving the taxi driver directions, you can say go right, go left, go straight ahead. Or you can say go north, go east, go west, go south. It's very important to know these directions, okay? And of course, these are street signs telling you which way you're going. If you're going north on Interstate 94 or you're going south on Interstate 94. It's very important to know which way you're going on the map so you don't go the wrong direction, the opposite direction. Okay. Now, we talked about maps and I talked a little bit about symbols, right? But when you look at the map, right? Remember, we looked at that map before and we saw sometimes there's an H, sometimes there's a P. But how do you know what those mean? On every map, there is a map key. It's like a key to understanding the map, right? The map key are the words or icons. Icon, you know icon from your computer, right? There are many icons on your computer desktop. Those are symbols too. They're symbols for the different programs that you use. Well, a map also has icons. These are like icons right here. These little pictures, these are icons, right? They show the meanings of the symbols on the map. So these are icons, they are also symbols. If we see this icon or this symbol, and remember icon and symbol are really the same thing. Oops, what did I do there? Let's do that again. Icon is the same as symbol. Okay? So these are the same things. Icon, symbol, same thing. So if we see this icon or we see this symbol, we mean that, oh, that is for school. An open book, what would that be? Of course, that's library. An H in a circle and a red square, that's a hospital. Here's a strange looking building. Looks like a very old style building. That, of course, is a museum. And here, what is this? That's a fire hose, right? Wrapped around, of course, that would be the fire station. So different maps might have different symbols. Not all maps have the same symbols. You have to look at the map key, usually in the corner of the map, and you can see the symbols for that map key. And remember, different maps use different symbols, so they're not always the same. Look at the map key on the map to find the right symbol, to understand what those mean.
Lesson 3. Community. Community. A place where people live, work, and play together. Neighbor. A person living near your house. Address. The details of a place where you work or live. Symbol. A sign, number, or letter with a certain meaning. Map. A drawing of the Earth's surface showing the position of things. Direction. The point or position such as north, south, east, or west. Map key. The words or icons showing the meanings of symbols on a map.
Citizen. A citizen is a person. So a citizen is a person, it's a human being who lives and works in a community, right? We talked about community before. So a person who lives and works in a community. Are you a citizen? Yes, of course. You are a citizen of your community. You are also a citizen of your country, and that's very important. People are usually, when they think about citizens, they are citizens of different countries. But you are also a citizen in your community. This means that these people who live and work together, they are citizens. They have rights and responsibilities that they have to follow. And part of the responsibilities of a citizen is to follow the law. Now, a law is a rule that people in a community must follow. It's kind of interesting. By the way, we say a law is a rule, but is there a difference between law and rule? Actually, there is a little bit of a difference, right? Laws are more formal. Laws are made by larger groups of people, like governments. And if you break the law, the punishment is a lot stronger than if you break a rule. A rule is usually made by smaller organizations, less formal. For example, your school has rules. Your parents have rules for the family. If you break a rule in school or in your family, the punishment is probably not as strong as breaking the law. If you break a law, that's really serious punishment. But if you break a rule, it's less punishment. However, you should always obey or follow the law or the rule, right? It's the rule that people in a community must follow. The community makes those laws, okay? Now, I just said you must follow or obey those rules. Obey, another word that is very similar to that, is follow, right? Obey means to do what you are told to do. So if this girl tells the dog to do something, that dog should obey her, right? Of course, we're not dogs, we're human beings, but we can also follow or obey the laws and the rules of our community. The laws of our community, we should follow or obey the rules of our school and our families. So when we talk about rules and laws, we think about what verbs we use with those words. We use obey or follow. Obey the law. Obey the rules. Follow the law. Follow the rules. Okay? So we use obey or follow kind of Either one, it's okay, doesn't matter. And we use those words with laws and rules. So that's a very important thing. Citizens must obey the laws of the community, right? I just used 3 of the vocabulary words, and that's what we're talking about. What makes a good citizen? Okay. Now, why should we follow or obey the law? Because if we do, that means that it will be fair. Our community will be fair. Our lives will be fair. What does that mean? If something is fair, it means equal to everyone. That means that this person and this person are equal in their situation, in their opportunities, in their life. Everybody should have the equal opportunity to do what they want to. Everybody should have equal laws. Everybody should follow the same laws means that everybody is equal, everybody is fair. Equal means the same, right? If everybody is the same or everybody has the same responsibilities and everybody has the same responsibility and they follow the same rules, that will be a fair society. It will be fair. If somebody is not following the law or somebody breaks the rules, you can say, hey, that's not fair. That's not fair. If you say it's not fair, it's not equal. Somebody is trying to be better than other people. That's not fair. They should be fair. Everybody should have the same. Everybody should be the same. That's equal. That is fair. Okay. Also, another reason we should follow laws or obey the rules is because it will be safe. Safe, of course, means in no danger. Of course, we're talking about traffic laws, or usually traffic laws. If you follow the traffic laws, people will be safe. Nobody will get hurt. It's not just traffic laws, but there are many other laws like that too, right? Don't steal, right? Somebody might hurt somebody. Somebody might get in a fight. Follow the laws, obey the rules. Everybody will be safe, in no danger. They will not be in danger. Also, another reason to follow laws and rules is to have a clean society. Right? So we have a clean society, it means not dirty. We don't like to go out on the street and see trash and all sorts of dirty things laying around. We want our society, our streets, our neighborhood to be clean and nice to live in. So we can see there are 3 big reasons here to follow rules or laws. We want things to be fair, we want things to be safe, and we want things to be clean. Those are all reasons we should follow the law or obey the law. Okay, now let's talk about some other idea in relation to laws or rules. We have traffic sign here. It's a 2-word vocabulary. Traffic sign. Now a sign of course is some large poster or billboard, right, that you can see. There's some symbols and letters on it that tell you a certain thing. It has a certain meaning behind that sign. It's a sign that gives drivers and walkers information. You are probably not a driver, you're probably a walker, right? So, but when we're on the streets, we need information. We need to know what is the law. Sometimes we don't know the law. We have to look at the signs to understand what is the law. This one says the law is this street is one way. You can't drive 2 ways down the street. It's only one way. This sign says, okay, you can go right or you can go left, either way, but you can't go straight. This one says don't enter, do not go down this way. Maybe it's a one-way street, you don't want to go the wrong way. So drivers and people who are walkers, can see these traffic signs very quickly and know what to do, what the law is. And they obey these laws. They follow these signs. And they'll be safe and they'll be happy, right? And it'll be fair for everybody. Okay. Now, we have a bad situation here. Sometimes, of course, people might break the law. And that's not right. You shouldn't break the law. You shouldn't break the rules, right? That means to do something that laws tell us is wrong. If the law says don't do something, don't do it. This person is breaking the law. The sign says, please do not climb the hill. This person is about to climb the hill. She is breaking the law. So to break a law, you could also break the rules, right? Break the rules. That's not correct. Somebody who breaks the law, somebody who breaks the rules, they are doing something that is wrong. By the way, what do you call somebody who breaks a law? Somebody who breaks a law is called a criminal. Criminals are people who break laws. And if they're caught, the police catch them, the punishment is very strong. They go to jail, don't they? So criminals break laws. Citizens, good citizens, do not break the law. Okay, now when people break laws, they make problems. So a problem is a trouble or a difficulty, right? So when people break laws, they don't obey the rules, they're making problems for everybody else. Now, when you cause trouble, right? You cause trouble, you give somebody trouble, give trouble. Don't give other people trouble. Don't make difficulties. Make difficulties. You can also say make a problem. But you shouldn't do these things. Make difficulties. Right? So don't give trouble, right? Don't. I'll put that in big letters over here. Don't give trouble. Don't make difficulties. Follow the law. If you do these things, you're making a problem. You're making a problem. Don't make a problem, right? This lady has a problem, right? She's very upset about something. So she has a problem. Her life is difficult. She has some trouble. We don't want to have trouble. We don't want to have difficulties. So follow the laws. Don't make problems.
Lesson 4. People need laws. Citizen. A person who lives and works in a community. Law. A rule that people in a community must follow. Obey. To do what you are told to do. Fair. Equal to everyone. Safe. In no danger. Clean. Not dirty. Traffic sign. A sign that gives drivers and walkers information. Break laws. To do something that laws tell us is wrong. Problem. A trouble or difficulty.
We have to think about what is a right. A right is something that you can do or have by law. And it's important to note this word here, have. We usually use the word have with right. So, for example, have rights. Now, rights can be plural, rights with an S, or you can also say it in a singular way. You have a right. Have a right to do something. So, I have rights, or I have a right to do something. And we usually use this type of sentence, especially when somebody's trying to prevent us from doing something. Say, you can't do that. No, I can do it. I have rights, or I have a right to do something. I have a right to be here. I have a right to say what's on my mind. I have a right, or I have rights. We usually use the word have with rights. Now, right, something that you can do or have by law. That's important right there, by law. Your society, and if most of us, we live in a democratic society. Most people in the world, thankfully, live in a democratic society. Some people don't. Some people don't have all the rights that we have because their society does not have the laws that protect their rights or that gives them rights, right? We enjoy a lot of rights in a democratic society by law. Our democratic society, our democratic government makes laws that give us a lot of rights to be able to do something. So these are rights, okay? But what about responsibilities? Responsibility, that's a long word. Responsibility. Now again, responsibility can be singular, it can also be plural. We have many responsibilities, right? So we have a responsibility or we have responsibilities. Again, you can use the word have. I have a responsibility to do something. Responsibility means taking care of something and taking the blame if it goes wrong. That's interesting. Let's talk about it. By the way, taking care of something, it can also be taking care of someone, something, or someone. For example, look at this picture. Here we have father, mother, and two boys, right? The parents have a responsibility to take care of their children. That would be someone. So take care of something or someone, right? You have a responsibility to take care of your things. For example, your school books, your clothes. You shouldn't go out and destroy your clothes. Your mom will be very angry. You have a responsibility to take care of your things. Your parents have a responsibility to take care of you. Also, part of being responsible means taking the blame if it goes wrong. So if you do go out and you ruin your book, right? You go out and you drop your book in a muddy puddle and it gets all wet because you made a mistake. You should admit it. Don't lie. Say somebody stole your book, right? Be responsible. Be responsible. Do not lie. Be responsible. Whoops, this pen. Be responsible. Be responsible. Take responsibility. That's another one. Take responsibility. Whew, it's a long word. So you should be responsible. You should take responsibility. That means you should admit when something goes wrong. When you make a mistake, be responsible. Take responsibility. Admit that you made a mistake. That's part of being responsible. That's part of your responsibility. So responsibility is kind of like a duty, something that you should do. So right is something that you can do. Responsibility is something that you should do. Okay, so those are rights and responsibilities. Let's take a look at the next one. Choose. Choose is an important word when we talk about rights and responsibilities. Choose means to pick something, to choose something or someone from among others. So if this boy has a choice, right? He has a choice. Again, we use have a choice, have responsibility, have a right, have a choice. This boy has a choice to make. He can choose the vegetables or he can choose the sandwich with the cheese and the meat and everything else. Now, he's going to choose this one, right? Because it tastes better. This one is probably healthier for him, but he's going to choose the sandwich because it tastes better. Now, it's his responsibility to choose the right thing. It's his responsibility to choose things that are good for him. Maybe some choices that we make are not fun, right? It's more fun to eat a sandwich than it is to eat a plate of vegetables. However, which is better for you? It's better to eat the vegetables. These are choices. That's just a small example of choices that we make every day, right? We have the right to choose what we want, but we also have the responsibility to choose what's best for us and the people around us. That's a very important idea to remember, and that's an important concept to think of when we think about rights and responsibilities. We have the right to choose whatever we want, but we have the responsibility to make good choices for ourselves and for other people. It's an interesting idea. Okay. Respect. When we're talking about rights and responsibilities, of course, we're talking about our rights, our responsibilities, but we also have to think about people around us. What are their rights? What are our responsibilities to other people? And part of that is showing respect to other people. You show respect to somebody. Show respect to other people. Show respect to your parents. Show respect to your teachers. Show respect to your friends. That means polite behavior toward someone. You should be polite. You shouldn't be rude. Of course, polite and rude are opposite, right? The opposite of polite is rude. Whoops, rude. D. R-U-D-E. Sorry, I messed that up there. I'll spell it again. R-U-D-E. Rude. The opposite of polite is rude. If you're rude, it means you're behaving badly towards somebody, especially when you think about sports. If you're playing soccer, right, you should be polite to other people who you are playing soccer with, on your team and on the other team. You shouldn't kick the other team members, right? That would be rude. If you accidentally kick another person while you're playing soccer, you should be polite. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kick you. Are you all right? That's part of showing respect. That's part of being polite to other people. Okay, so you should show respect to other people, and that's part of being polite to other people. Okay. Duty. Duty has to do with responsibility, right? We all have duties in our life. We have duties to do things. Something that you must do, that you must do. What is this person doing here? They are voting. Vote. Now, you are probably too young to vote, but when you get older, it's your duty to vote. Every citizen has a duty to vote. Right now, what are some of your duties now? Some of your duties are to obey your parents, to obey your teachers, to study hard. These are things that you must do. It's your duty to take care of your health. It's your duty to take care of the things that you have, to clean your room, to help your family. These are duties that you have. These are responsibilities that you have. Duty and responsibility are very similar. They're almost the same, right? We have responsibilities, we have duties. Things we must do, or things we should do. Okay. Act. We talk about act. Act is anything that you do. But in another way, act is, it says to do something, but it's also everything that you do. It's also how you behave. Act is very similar also to, how you behave. In other words, you can say, act responsibly in your daily life. Throughout the whole day, you should act responsibly. I'm having problems. Okay, act responsibly. That means act in a responsible way. Do things correctly. Do your duty, right? Do things that are your duty. Do things that are your responsibility. Show respect to other people. These are all parts of acting responsibly. Do the things that you're supposed to do. If something goes wrong, take the blame. If it's your fault, take the blame for it. If it's not your fault, don't take the blame. But if it is your fault, don't lie, be honest, act responsibly, take the blame for it if it's your fault. So act responsibly, behave in a certain way. So act is very similar to behave. How do you behave? Do you behave well or do you behave poorly? It's the same thing as do you act well or do you act poorly? How do you behave? Okay? Okay, and we should behave responsibly. Okay, let's move on. Here we have express. Now express means to tell others your ideas using words, gestures, or behavior. So when you express yourself, you're expressing yourself on many different levels. One level is by what you say. That's one level, okay? You're expressing your ideas, what you're thinking. But you can also express yourself using gestures, right? If you use gestures, we can talk with our hands, but some gestures you can also express yourself. If you go like this is one gesture showing something. If you go like this, that's another gesture showing something. So the gestures, your body language also expresses what you're thinking. Okay, so gestures also. And finally, we also have behavior. How do you act? If you act rudely towards somebody, you're expressing yourself. You're telling other people that you're not a nice person. If you behave politely, right? If your behavior is polite, then you're expressing to other people that you are a nice person. So we express ourselves on many different levels, by our words, by our gestures, and how we behave. These are all ways that we express ourselves to other people. So that's very interesting. Think about that. It's not just what you say, it's how you act and how you use gestures also. These are all ways to express yourself. Okay. Finally, we have idea. Idea, you express ideas, of course. I just said that you use words to express your ideas, but what is an idea? An idea is a thought about something. So especially when you're studying at school, right? Your teacher is teaching you something, well, you have certain ideas about that subject, and you may have unique or original ideas. You might, oh, that's a good idea. You think about something, right? Let's take a look at this video here. Now, of course, this is not happening in your head. There are no gears in your head, right? But this is an interesting idea to show that when you're thinking about something, it's like these gears are spinning in your head. Your brain is working, right, really hard, and it's like there's a lot of motion, a lot of gears going around in your head, and you're thinking of something, and ooh, you have an idea, right? You get an idea. Get an idea. Whoops. You get an idea. You get an idea because your brain is working very hard and you get ideas.
Lesson 5. What can citizens do? Right. Something that you can do or have by law. Responsibility. Taking care of something and taking the blame if it goes wrong. Choose. To pick something or someone from among others. Respect. Polite behavior toward someone. Duty. Something that you must do. Act. To do something. Express. To tell others your ideas using words, gestures, or behavior. Idea. A thought about something.
Let's take a look here. First of all, what is a leader? Right? If we're talking about how to choose a leader, well, first of all, we need to talk about what a leader is. A leader is a person, right? Leader is a person who is in charge of. In charge of. You are in charge of means you are responsible for. You are in charge of a group. The person who is in charge of a group, they're responsible for that group. They lead that group. They tell the group what to do. If the group has a problem, they take responsibility. They are the ones who take the responsibility or the blame if something goes wrong. They are the leaders. Let's take a look. Here we have a picture of a leader. This is a politician. The politician is basically supporting or getting to know his voters. His voters are coming out and he's signing things for them. So they want to meet him. They want to meet their leader. And of course, this is very typical in America. These people want to meet the leader. They want him to sign something so they can remember that person or the experience of having met their leader. So basically, this would be an example of a politician or a political leader in America. Now, remember, I just used that word politician. Politician. A politician is a leader in politics, right? A community leader, politician. And this is an example of a politician. Now, another type of politician is a mayor. A mayor is the leader of a city or town. Of course, in politics, you have many different types of leaders. You have different areas, right? And small areas and big areas. Depending on the area, that depends on what exactly we call the leader. There are different words for the leaders depending on how big of an area or what type of area or region that person is a leader for. If we're talking about a city or a town, a small city, or it could be a large city, but a city is smaller, of course, than other regions. A city or town, we call that person a mayor. Okay? This is the mayor of Los Angeles, right? He's the mayor of Los Angeles. So each city has a leader. They are called the mayors, the mayor. Okay, when you choose for the leader in politics in a democratic country, of course, what are you doing? You are voting. To vote. To vote as a verb means to make a choice. So, of course, in a democratic country, you have many different choices. Many people want to be the leader. Sometimes, usually there's two, at least two, but sometimes you can have 3, 4, 5. You could have a whole group of people who are trying to get the same leadership position. And we, as citizens, have to choose between them. We have to vote. So vote, by the way, is a verb, but vote can also be a noun, right? What was the vote? What was the final vote? You could say that. What was the final vote? That means what was the final count, right? What was the final vote? Who got the most votes? Or you can also use it in that way. I got a vote. I cast my vote for somebody. You could also use it in that way. Cast your vote, which is basically the same as this, vote. When you vote, you cast your vote. Each person has one vote. You cast your vote, that means you vote. You record your decision, to put it in a box, this is a simple way, and then afterwards they take all the votes out of the box and they figure out who won. So vote can be a verb. This is what this girl is doing. Vote can also be a noun. It's what she's putting in the box. This is a vote. Okay, her vote. What was your vote? Okay. Now we have an election. When people vote, they have an election. You vote in an election. When election is choosing a leader or leaders by a vote, right? By a vote. So when everybody gets together and they cast their votes, right? They put their votes in, then that is choosing a leader that we call an election. Now, of course, this is a representation of the American election in 2008. This is President Obama and this is Senator John McCain, and they were the two contenders for the election. Contenders or opponents. Contenders. Contenders are people who try to win the vote. He was a contender. He was a contender. Contenders are people who struggle or fight against each other in order to win something. Contenders aren't just people, politicians, but contenders can also be boxers or sports players, people who try to win something. These guys wanted to win the election. They are contenders. And the election, of course, is choosing a leader or leaders by a vote. So contenders will have an election and you will choose one of those people, and that will be the person who is elected to office. Okay. Count. Of course, when you're voting and you're putting many votes in a box, right? Afterwards, you have to count those votes. Count. To say numbers one by one and to know how many there are. So, of course, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am counting. I'm saying the numbers one by one. And also, after I'm finished, right? I'm picking the votes 1, 2, 3, 4. After I'm finished, I know what the count is. I know how many there are. There are 50 votes for contender A, and there's 40 votes for contender B. Okay? So that's what we do when we count the votes. We find out who won the election. Who won the election? Let's count the votes. Okay. An adult. What is an adult? An adult is a person who is fully grown. Why are we worried about adults when we're talking about election? Because only adults can vote in election. I'm sorry you're too young to vote in your country's elections. But when you get older, when you become an adult, then it's your right, it's also your responsibility to vote in the election. You should vote in election. That's what makes a good citizen, right? You should vote in an election. Okay, but adults vote in elections. Now, ballot. Ballot is another word, by the way, for vote. Remember I taught you guys that vote is a noun. You put your vote, you cast your vote. We can also say you cast your ballot. It's another word that means the same thing. Cast your ballot. Cast a ballot, cast your vote. But a ballot here, you can see that a ballot has many names on them. That's very interesting, right? We can see many different names here. And a ballot is just basically a piece of paper on which you mark your vote. Again, vote here is used as a noun. Your vote, right? Your choice. Okay, so here we can see this is a ballot, looks like for the 2008 presidential election. Did you know that there are actually more than just two people who ran for the president in America? We really only concentrate on the two most famous people who are running for election. Barack Obama and John McCain. Those are the two most famous people in the 2008 election. But did you know there were actually other people running for the president? There was Ralph Nader, Bob Barr, I never heard of him, Cynthia McKinley, I never heard of that person, and Alan Keyes, never heard of him. These two, usually only two people get the most attention because they are from the major parties, the major political parties. But there are other political parties in America. Maybe some people don't know about them because they're not famous. They don't get a lot of attention. But the two main parties, they get all the attention. People know about them. Barack Obama and John McCain were for the 2008 presidential election. But I've heard of Ralph Nader before, but I haven't heard of these three people before. But they're also on the ballot in the 2008. They're less known candidates. Okay. We talked about mayor before. Mayor is a leader of a town or a city. But if you look at a city, you go one region bigger in America, that's county. And then one region bigger than county, by the way, I'll write that down for you. County. County. Then you have many counties, and that makes up a state. Now, the leader of a state is called the governor. And you know him, right? He's also a famous movie actor. But it's interesting that he also became the governor of the state of California. The governor is the leader of a state in the United States. Okay, so when we're talking about the United States, there are many states in the United States. California is one of those states. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back, the Terminator, right? He became the governor of the state of California. That's a very interesting career, right? From movie actor to governor. Of course, a U.S. president, President Reagan, also did the same thing in the 1980s. He was a famous movie star. He became the president of the United States. So it's not, it's sometimes it happens. Okay, but anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California. He's not the governor now, but he was for quite a while. He was very famous governor of the state of California. Okay, when we're talking about elections, right, we've talked about vote, we've talked about election, we've talked about ballot. These things are all talking about making a decision, right? When you make a decision is a noun, right? A decision is a choice. A decision is basically a choice. What do you choose? Do you choose yes or do you choose no? It's not just yes, no. You make a decision about what you want to eat for lunch, right? Do you want to eat a sandwich or do you want to eat spaghetti? You make a decision, right? So it can be yes, no. It can be you have many things and you choose one of those things. You make a decision about what you want to do. You make a choice. A choice you make. You make a decision. You make a choice after thinking carefully. So first of all, you think about the choices, right? You think about either different people in an election. You think about different foods you want to eat for lunch. You think about whether you want to agree with something or disagree with something. You think about it carefully, and then you make a decision. And that's what a decision is.
Lesson 6. Choosing community leaders. Leader. A person who is in charge of a group. Mayor. The leader of a city or a town. Vote. To make a choice. Election. Choosing a leader or leaders by a vote. Count. To say numbers one by one and to know how many there are. Adult. A person who is fully grown. Ballot. A piece of paper on which you mark your vote. Governor. The leader of a state in the United States. Decision. A choice you make after thinking carefully.
Let's begin with our first word, which is history. History. What is history? History is basically the story, right? We can see story is in the word history, right? Story of events. Events. Events are things that happen. Something that happened in earlier times. Earlier times. So it was earlier than now. So it's interesting. Things that happened in the past. When we talk about the past, we say things that happened in the past. History is in the past. They are things that happened, stories based on true events, right? Not made up events, but true events that happened in the past. Now, when we talk about history, is history all throughout the entire history of the earth? Do we know it very well? We don't know it very well. We can also talk about the idea of prehistory. 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 And when we talk about pre, we mean before. And we talk about before history, prehistoric. Prehistoric. And we could put that word together. Prehistoric. Prehistoric. Pre means before. How can things be before history? When we think about history, we think about human beings writing down what happened in earlier times. That's history. But a long time ago, people didn't write things down. And a long time ago, there were no people, like in the time of the dinosaurs or before that. That's prehistoric. So when we talk about prehistoric, we mean before humans started writing history. So a long, long time ago. Also dinosaurs. Also early human beings. Before they started writing things, we say that's prehistoric. So if you hear prehistoric, it means a long time ago, before people started writing down history. Okay. Of course, we're talking about the past, and I taught you guys before, in the past. When we talk about in the past, we say in the past. Okay? So past is the time before now. Before now is a past. We say in the past. Things that happened in the past. Okay? That's before now. We, of course, can also say the present. The present. And again, we say in the present. In the present. Things that are happening. Things that are happening now or in the present. The time now. Now and present is the same thing. They are happening in the present now. They are happening now. That's the present. We live in the present, right? We don't live in the past. We don't live in the future. We live in the present right now. But the present goes by very quickly, doesn't it? It's very interesting. Okay, so that's the present. And then we, of course, have the future. And we also say in the future. So you can use this expression very commonly with past, present, future. In the past, in the present, in the future. Things that will happen, right? Things that will happen. Things that will happen. Things that will happen in the future, okay? The time to come after now. So the past is before now, the present is now, the future is after now. And we talk about things that will happen in the future. In the past, in the present, in the future. What will the future look like? What will the future look like? Maybe it will look like this. This is really cool looking, isn't it? Here's another video. Here's a video of what things might look like in the future. We can see very tall buildings. We can see these little things going back and forth. What do you think they are? They're cars. They're vehicles. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? To be able to fly a vehicle instead of on the ground, but in the air. And this is an example of what people think the future will look like. We don't know what the future will look like. We can only imagine or guess. Okay, when we talk about the future, we're not sure about the future. We don't know what will be true. When we talk about the past, we have a pretty good idea of what is true in the past, especially when people wrote down things. We look for facts. Facts are things that are true and can be proven. You can prove facts, something that is true. We know it happened because people wrote about it. Not just one person, but many people wrote about it. And maybe there are there's evidence for something that happened. Even before, like for example, prehistoric time. How do we know dinosaurs existed? Nobody wrote it down, but dinosaurs did exist. It's a fact. We can prove it because we can find their bones. We can put the bones together. Oh, this was a dinosaur. It was a long time ago. We can find out when it happened by looking at the earth and seeing how deep those bones are found. So we can prove certain things about the past. If we can be proven, it's a fact. If it's true, it's a fact. But what about the opposite of fact? The opposite of fact is fiction. It's not true. Something that is made up and not true. Made up is interesting. Do you ever imagine things? Do you ever play when you're playing? Do you imagine playing with somebody who's not there? Or do you imagine with your friends making a story that didn't really happen? Or you think about the past or the future and you make a story. You make it up. That's fiction. It's not true. Of course, these creatures are not true, but these creatures exist in books and in literature. Now that's an interesting point. Fiction. If you go into a library, there are two big sections in your library. One section is fiction. I want to read about Harry Potter. Then you go to the fiction. That's made up. It's not true. But sometimes you want to learn about the past. You want to learn about true things. Do you ask the librarian, excuse me, where is your true section? No, you ask for the non-fiction section. Non-fiction. When we talk about books, right, there are two classifications for books. Fiction, non-fiction. Now, when I was your age, this kind of confused me a little bit because fiction means not true, right? So that means not true. But non means not. So it's a little confusing, isn't it? Not true. Well, if you have two negatives in English, they cancel each other out. You're left with true. Okay? So if you have two negatives, they cancel each other out. You're left with what remains is true. So the two sections in the library, fiction, non-fiction. Non-fiction means true. Don't get confused by that. Sounds a little confusing. But non-fiction means true. Fiction, not true. Okay? So there's two sections in your library. If you want to read about Harry Potter, you will go to the fiction section. But if you want to learn about Korean history, you will go to the non-fiction section. Two sections in the library. You want fiction, not true, made up stories, fairy tales, funny stories, go to the fiction section. But if you want true stories about the past or about science or something like that, go to the nonfiction section. And those are the two main sections in the library, two main sections for books.
Lesson 7. Things change with time. History. The story of events that happened in earlier times. Past. The time before now. Present. The time now. Future. The time to come after now. Fact. A thing that is true and can be proven. Fiction. Something that is made up and not true.
Let's take a look at some words that we're going to talk about. First of all, we say family life, right? What is life? Of course, life is the way a person lives. Of course, this is a little bit of a different picture, you know, from a baby to a very old person, right? This is the life of a person. But life also means how or the way a person lives. And when we talk about how a person lives or the way in which a person lives, we can also use another word very similar that's called lifestyle. So, what is your lifestyle? What were the lifestyles of people a long time ago like? What are the lifestyles of modern people? So, yeah, sure, we can talk about life of different people, but especially when we talk about how people live, we're really talking about lifestyle. What is their lifestyle? Okay, another word we can talk about is dress. We saw that a little bit in the picture at the first slide of this lesson, right? At the first beginning of this lesson, we saw that the women were wearing different types of clothing. A dress, of course, is a type of clothing for women and girls. Men do not wear dresses. I hope men do not wear dresses. If you see a man or a boy wearing a dress, that's very strange. Maybe that's Halloween or it's a costume. But anyway, dress is typically for women and girls. Traditionally, that was the only clothing that women wore, were dresses. However, nowadays, women don't always have to wear dresses, but they do if they want to. Okay, let's move on to our next one. Shelter. Shelter is a place to live or stay. There are many types of shelters, right? There are many types of shelters. What type of shelter do you live in? You probably live in an apartment. An apartment. That's a very common type of shelter in Korea, right? An apartment. What are some other types of shelter? Well, this looks like a house. It's a large house, right? But you can just say house. You could live in a large house, or you can live in a small house. An apartment, a house, those are typical types of shelters. But shelter can be really any building that somebody lives in or any structure. A long time ago, American Indians lived in teepees. They were like tents. A tent is a type of structure or shelter. So basically, any place that you can go inside, you can stay, and that protects you from the outside environment like rain, snow, cold, or even heat. These things protect you. It's a place to stay. They are called shelters. Okay. Before I talked about dress, now we're talking about clothing. Again, dress is a type of clothing. Clothing is just coverings that people wear. And of course, there's many types of clothing, right? I'm wearing a shirt. That's one type of clothing. You could wear a jacket. That's another type of clothing. Even the shoes on your feet, we consider that as clothing as well. These are things that we put over our bodies or on our bodies to cover us. And they protect us from the from nature also. We don't call the clothes shelter, even though they do the same thing, right? Clothes protect us from the environment. Shelter protects us from the environment, but they're different types of things. Clothings are coverings that we wear, that we put on our body. We wear these things during the day. We put on clothes. Put on clothes. We put on clothes in the morning, and we wear clothes during the day. Okay? So in the morning, you put on clothes. During the day, you wear your clothes. And then at night, before you get to bed, you take off your clothes. Okay? So basically, 3 types of verbs we use with clothes. Put on, wear, take off. Put on clothes in the morning, or when you try clothes on in the store, you put it on. You wear clothes during the day, for the whole day. At night, you take off your clothes, get ready for bed. Okay, so clothing. Another word that we're talking about in this unit is crop. What is a crop? A crop is a plant that people grow as food. Not just any plant, right? We go out into nature and we look at plants. Not all the plants we find are crops, only the plants that people grow as food. Okay, for example, what are some types of crops that we grow as food? A very common type of crop in Korea, of course, is rice. Rice is a very, very, very common type of crop all over the world. Wheat is another one. Wheat is a crop. These are types of plants that we grow for food. So any type of plant that a farmer will grow, those are called crops. And we eat them. We eat them in large numbers. Okay? Of course, where do we grow these foods? We grow them on a farm. A farm is a piece of land where people grow crops or animals, right? We don't really see any crops in this picture. This is a farm, but what we do see are animals. So farm is used to grow plants, right, as food, and also animals as food. So basically, we get our food from 2 sources, right? We get our food from plants. We eat plants for food. We also eat animals for food. Where do we get those things? From a farm. Okay? So it's a piece of land or an area where a farmer, right? A farmer owns a farm. They grow crops. They also grow animals. And they send those products to our stores. We buy them and we can eat something. So farms, of course, are very important to us. Okay, when it's time for the farmer to go out and gather the plants for food, right? The plants have to grow, right? They have to reach a certain stage before we can eat them. We can't eat the young plants. We have to wait till the plants grow fully, and then we can eat the plants. At that time, when is that time? It's usually in the fall. And the farmers will go out and they will harvest. They will harvest the crops. Harvest means that they will gather. Gather together means to get together. You gather together all the things. You gather the gathering of the crops. So the farmer goes out and they will gather all those crops. They will gather all the rice together. They will gather all the wheat together, or the corn, or the cucumbers, or the tomatoes. All of these types of plants, when they gather them in, that's called the harvest. It's very common you say, it's harvest time. It's harvest time. And again, that normally happens in the fall, right? In the fall, it's harvest time. The farmer will go out and gather the crops. And then we have a lot of food, okay? Okay, corn is a type of crop, right? We talked about rice, we talked about wheat, but corn is also a very common type of crop. Corn, of course, you recognize corn, right? Corn is a kind of plant with yellow seeds. Yellow seeds, and these seeds are big, right? They're very delicious too, which is used for food. So I'm sure you like corn. Of course, we all like popcorn. We can use corn to make popcorn too. But the yellow seeds we will eat as food. Let's take a look at a video. This is a farmer in his field, and he is walking through his land on his farm, and he is growing corn. You see, the corn plants are very high. They're taller than he is. And he's holding an ear of corn in his hand. An ear of corn. That's how we say, one part of the plant that we take off the one part of the plant that we take off the whole plant, we call it an ear of corn. Now, one corn stalk will have many ears of corn. Not really ears, right? But we just call it that. So he will go through and he's checking on his crops and he's looking to see what the progress is. And maybe he broke one off to see if it's ready to eat or not. It looks like it's harvest time soon because these plants have grown so high. He will probably harvest his corn very quickly or soon. Wheat, again, is another type of crop. We've talked about rice, wheat, and corn. Here we have wheat again. Wheat is a kind of plant with grains that flour is made from. So these grains, we take these grains and we push them together. We grind them together. We grind wheat. Grind is when you push with a lot of force and you make something crumble into smaller, very small pieces, and that of course is flour. White flour, which you use to make bread, cookies, cake, all these different types of things. That is made by wheat, those different types of food. So flour is made from wheat. Wheat is a very important crop for humans.
Lesson 8. Changes in family life. Life. The way a person lives. Dress. A type of clothing for women and girls. Shelter. A place to live or stay. Clothing. Coverings that people wear. Crop. A plant that people grow as food. Farm. A piece of land where people grow crops or animals. Harvest. The gathering of the crops. Corn. A kind of plant with yellow seeds, which is used for food. Wheat. A kind of plant with grains that flour is made from.
Let's take a look. First of all, we saw invention, right? On the previous slide, we saw an example of two inventions. The telephone, an old telephone, and a modern day telephone. Well, an invention is something new or a new way of doing something. So it's interesting to think about that. Invention isn't just something new, that's an object, right? It's an object. If you create something new, that's an object, like a telephone or a cell phone. But take this out, check this out, a new way of doing something. That is a method. So inventions can be physical objects, things we touch or use, but they can also be things we don't touch, just things that we do. Right? It's not something we can look at. It's not something we can pick up. It's just a way of behaving or a way of doing something, a method. So inventions are really two types: object, a physical thing, or a method, a way of doing something. And if you think of a new way of doing something, that's an invention too. By the way, it's very interesting. We have many words in this unit that end with T-I-O-N. Invention. Invention. Whenever you see T-I-O-N, you know that that word is a noun. Many of these words are also used as verbs, and we drop I-O-N, we say to invent. Right? So invention is a noun. To invent, right? We get rid of I-O-N, we have a verb, to invent. So if you make something new, or you think of a new way of doing something, you are inventing. You have an invention. Okay, we'll see many words like this in today's lesson. Let's take a look at the next one. Tool. A tool is a thing. It's a thing, so it's an object that helps people do a job. When you do your job, what is your job? You are students, right? So your job is to do homework. What tools do you use to do your job? You probably use paper, right? A notebook and a pencil. Those are your tools. Those tools help you do a job, your homework. But there are many jobs, aren't there? And many different tools. These are typically what we think of when we think of tools, right? A paintbrush for a painter who wants to paint something. A wrench for a plumber who wants to fix something. These are all tools that people use to do their job. It helps them do their job. Okay. Here's another I-O-N word, T-I-O-N, education, right? Education is teaching or training people and the things people learn. So really we've got two parts to this definition. Teaching or training people, that's one part, and the things people learn. The things people learn, that's the second part. Okay? So education is all of that. Right now, we are involved in education. What we're doing right now is education. I am educating you guys, right? Education. Education is a noun, but to educate is a verb. Educate. So you see, we can take many of these I-O-N verbs, which are nouns, and make them into verbs, right? Education. We are involved in education right now. I am educating you. So, good word, education. Okay, let's move on. Information, another T-I-O-N word, right? There's so many of them, right? Information, facts or details that you know about something. So how many facts and details do you know? You probably know a lot of information, right? Especially if you've been studying these books quite a bit, right? So we've been learning a lot of information. Facts or details. If you look at something, of course, he's looking at very specific facts and details about something. But when we think about science, about the earth or about insects or animals or people, those are facts or details. We know about those subjects. That is information. Now, as we are doing, we're looking at these words and we see that they are nouns. What is the verb form of information? What is the verb form? If you guess, to inform, right? So to inform. To inform is like to tell somebody about something, to tell them about the facts or details that you know you're going to tell somebody else. You will inform them. Right now, I am informing you, right? I'm informing you about this word information and many other words as well. Okay, so let's move on. Communication, really long word, right? Of course, we have T-I-O-N again. There's so many of them, right? In English, we have, this is a very common ending for many words. Shun, communication, communication. Okay, so what is communication? The way, it's a method, right? It's a method. People share ideas and exchange information. So when we talk, when we inform each other, when we educate people, we share ideas, we exchange information, right? So teachers or parents will educate children, right? Or children will inform their parents about their day, right? They will tell them, they will give them the facts or details about something that happened to them. So we are always exchanging our ideas, aren't we? We communicate with many people around us every day. And I just used the verb to communicate. To communicate. We communicate with each other every day. That is communication. We call this process, this method, communication. The action is to communicate. So we are communicating right now, right? Okay, let's move on. We have another word here, machine. A machine. A machine is a tool. Remember, we talked about tools before? We saw the pictures of the tools, but those tools we saw before are very simple. They don't have really many moving parts, maybe just one part that moves. But a machine is a complex machine. It's a complex tool. It has many parts, and it's used for a particular job. And another thing about a machine is that you can turn it on. You use electricity, and it works, and it does something for you. In fact, machines do work instead of people, right? With machines, we can do so much more than we can do with just simple tools and one person or a few people. Machines can work very quickly, and they can do dangerous jobs, and they can produce many amazing things. This machine here is busy making a car. So machines are complex tools, not simple tools, but complex tools that are used for a particular job, a certain job. For example, a printing press. A printing press is an example of a machine, right? A printing press is a machine that is used to make books or newspapers. So if you have your books, right? You have a book in front of you right now, right? How was that book made? It was made on a really big machine called a printing press. Also, when you get your newspaper, right, at your house, if you get a newspaper delivered to your house, that newspaper is printed on a printing press. Let's take a look of a printing press in action. This is a printing press here. This is the paper. Let's take a look. Wow, that's really fast, isn't it? It's going really fast. And look at how big this machine is. It's really big, and it's coming up through here, and the drums have different colors, and they're putting the ink on the paper as the paper goes through. It's really fast. And of course, this machine can make many books or many newspapers very, very quickly. Much faster than people can if they didn't have a machine. So machines make our lives easier. They allow us to do our work very well, very quickly, and to make many, many things in a short period of time. So that's an example of a printing press. Now let's take a look at another very old tool. Okay, this is a much older tool, a slate. A slate is a writing tablet. Of course, a long time ago, people really didn't have paper. They may have had something, they could have carried around a piece of charcoal or a piece of something around with them, and they called it a slate. And they used chalk to draw on it or to write on it. So people would use a slate to write on it, and they could pass it to another person, and they could take it very far away, and another person could read the message. So this is a very old style of communication, right? Not many people use slates nowadays. Sometimes we use slates for fun, but it's not really practical. Normally we use notebooks and paper instead of slates. Okay.
Lesson 9. Changes in communication. Invention. Something new or a new way of doing something. Tool. A thing that helps people do a job. Education. Teaching or training people and the things people learn. Information. Facts or details that you know about something. Communication. The way people share ideas and exchange information. Machine. A tool with complex parts that is used for a particular job. Printing press. A machine that is used to make books or newspapers. Slate. A writing tablet.
First of all, like I said before, needs. We looked at the bottle of water just before. We said that people need water. You need water to live. A need is things that you must have to live. Those are your needs. By the way, needs can be singular, a need, or they can be plural. What are your needs? It is a need or they are needs. So, some things that we need every day, we need water, we have to drink. If we don't drink, we die, right? Food, we need to eat food. If we don't eat food, we can't survive. So we need these things. We need a house too, really. There's many kinds of houses, but we really do need a place to live. If we don't have one, our lives are very, very poor and not very nice. So we do need these types of things. Things that we must have to live a good life too. Wants, again, we can use plural or singular. It is a want or they are wants. Wants are things that you don't need. You don't need these things. You don't need, but wish to have. Wish, of course, means want. You want it, you wish you had it, right? This boy is playing with a toy helicopter. He's in the store. He probably says to Mom, "Mommy, please buy me this helicopter." He doesn't need it, but he wants it. So needs and wants, they're different things. Needs, you must have them. Wants are things you just wish that you had. Okay, so when we talk about needs and wants, we can also talk about this word, scarcity. There is a scarcity of something. Scarcity means not enough of something. Look at this picture. Imagine many people are coming to dinner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people want to eat dinner. They only have one small tomato. That's not enough. There's a scarcity of food. A scarcity of food. So scarcity is a noun, but we can also use it as an adjective, scarce. Scarce. Scarce means there's not enough. As an adjective, a scarce amount of something. Okay? So scarcity means not enough of something. Okay, and of course, when we talk about needs and wants, we think about how to get those things, especially how do we get those wants? Well, we're talking about money, right? Money is something that people use as a means of exchange. Exchange means to change, right? I have something, I exchange it for another thing. In this case, most often, people use money as the means of exchange. I use money, I give money, and I get something in return. So I give money, and I get something in return. It's a means of exchange. And of course, money is so important in today's world, right? It's how we get what we need and what we want. And there's 2 types of money, especially you can see in this picture. We see paper money and we see coins. Let's talk about that. The first type I said is paper money. We call paper money bills. So bills. How many $100 bills do you have? This is $100. You can see here 100. That's a lot of money. That's like Shipman Wan, right? That's a lot of money, $100. So if you're talking about the individual notes, by the way, these are also called notes, bill or note. If we talk about the individual ones, we can say, how many $100 bills do you have? How many $100 bills do you have? I have 3 $100 bills. I don't. I wish, right? I want. But $100 bills, how many bills do you have? I have a $20 bill, a $50 bill, and a $100 bill. That means I have $170 in 3 bills or 3 notes. Usually we call them bills, but we can also call them notes, and it is describing paper money, paper money. So obviously paper money is light, it's easy to carry, and of course when we're talking about a lot of money, it's much easier to carry large bills than a lot of small bills. So we can also say large bills. A $100 bill is a large bill. A $1 bill is a small bill. It's the same size, it's just different amount of money. So large bills, small bills, same size as paper, but different amounts of money. Those are bills. What about coins, right? Of course, you have coins too. You probably have coins in your pocket, right? Coin is money that is made of metal. So as you can see here, these are coins here, and sometimes they're a little bit heavy, right? So these coins, they look like the British pound. I'm not sure if they are, but they're very thick, and they would be quite heavy. If you had a lot of coins in your hand, that's a little bit heavy. Obviously, it's very hard to carry around a lot of coins. That's why paper money is more convenient. But sometimes you buy small things, or not everything is exactly $1 or $2 or $10. Sometimes it's $8.57, right? If you have $8.57, right, you can pay $8 in paper money, and you can pay 57 cents in coins. Okay, or you can pay $9 in paper money, and they will give you change in coins. Coins is also called change. For example, if I'm at a vending machine, I want to buy some Coca-Cola or some soda drink, but I need some coins. So I might ask my friend, do you have any change? And he or she will give me coins so I can put it in the machine. Do you have any change? I'm talking about coins. Okay, now in America, there are different types of coins. We have different names for the different coins, and the different coins are different values. A quarter is worth 25 cents, and this is a good picture of an American quarter. A coin that is worth 25 cents. And it's interesting because quarter, if we just look at the word quarter, if we have one whole thing and we divide that thing into 4 equal parts, each part is called a quarter. Quarter. A quarter is the same as 1/4. 1/4. If you divide one thing into 4 parts, 1/4 a quarter. So if this is $1, you divide $1 into 4 parts, 1/4 of a dollar is a quarter. And that's why we say 25 cents is a quarter, because 25 times 4 equals what? You got it, 100. So 25, sorry about that, 25 is 1/4 of a dollar. Okay, so that's why we call it a quarter. Okay, another coin in American currency is the penny. By the way, I just used an important word, currency. Currency. This is an important word to talk about money. Currency means money. It also means, for example, a country's type of money. So we can say American currency, Korean currency. The penny is the smallest coin in American currency. It's the smallest. You can't get any smaller coin in American currency than the penny. By the way, currency also means bills and coins. It means both. So a penny is a coin that is worth 1 cent. 1 cent. That's hardly anything. You can't hardly buy anything for 1 penny. It's almost useless now. You need 25 pennies to make 1 quarter. You need 100 pennies to make $1. So it's really a small amount of money. We've talked about quarter, we talked about penny. Let me teach you two more. One is a nickel. A nickel. Let me make the I there, nickel. And the other is a dime. Dime. A nickel equals 5 cents. By the way, cent is represented by this symbol here, 5 cents. And a dime is 10 cents. Okay? So these are another two types of coins. Very common. Penny, nickel, dime, quarter. Sometimes you can have half a dollar or even $1 coin. That's possible. But these are the most common. Penny, nickel, dime, quarter. Those are the most common coins in American currency. But remember, currency also means bills. $1 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill is also currency. Okay, so that's very interesting about American money there.
Lesson 10. Needs and wants. Needs. Things that you must have to live. Wants. Things that you don't need but wish to have. Scarcity. Not enough of something. Money. Something that people use as a means of exchange. Bill. Paper money. Coin. Money that is made of metal. Quarter. A coin that is worth 25 cents. Penny. A coin that is worth 1 cent.
In fact, we're going to talk about goods at the beginning. Goods, by the way, you can use goods as singular or plural. You can say a good, or you can say many goods. So you can say good or goods. Now, these are all goods, right? Goods are really objects. Goods are things that people buy or use. So remember, goods are objects. They're physical things that you can hold. You can put them in your bag, right? You can carry them in your pocket if they're small enough, right? But don't carry scissors in your pocket, of course. But you can put other things in your pocket. So paper, paintbrushes, paint, scissors, pencils. These are all goods. They are all objects. They are all things that we buy or use that we want or need. So those would be goods, physical objects. That's different from a service. And again, service can be singular or plural. We can also say services, right? There are many services. So when we talk about the economy or we talk about the idea of things that we need or want, we can break them down into goods or services. A service is work. It's not a thing. You cannot hold a service. You can't put a service in your backpack. You can't put a service in your pocket. Service is work that people do for others. So it's work that other people do for you. And of course, you give them something in return, maybe money, or you do something for them, but those would be services. What service is going on here? It's hair cutting, like a person who cuts your hair. They're not giving you a good. It's not a good. It's a service. It's work. So basically, two main things we're talking about in this unit. Goods, which are objects, and services, which is work. Okay, so those are the two main things, two very important concepts in this unit. Okay, when we talk about goods and services, like I said, if somebody works for you, you give them something. What do you give them? You give them whatever the price for their service is, or the price for the good. If you go into a store, there's a lot of goods. You have to look at the prices to understand how much it costs. Price, the amount of money that you have to give to buy something. So if you want to know the price, you can ask, how much does it cost? How much does it cost? And that is the amount of money. The amount of money is the cost. How much does it cost? 얼마요, right? 얼마요. How much does it cost? That is the price. What is the price is another way, but it's more common to say, how much does it cost? And you're talking about the price. So you can see the price on the goods in the store. And that is the amount of money that you have to give the store to buy something. If you want these apples, you have to give them the amount of money that's on the price here. By the way, you see in the store there are many price tags. That's another important expression to remember. A price tag. That is a tag, especially on clothes. When you buy clothes, there's a price tag. It says, how much is the shirt? How much are those jeans? That you look at the price tag. It tells you the amount of money. Okay. Now, when we're talking about goods and services, of course, you want to exchange those. One person wants them. Another person wants to give them away. But you don't give them away. You don't take them. You sell them or you buy them. In this case, we're talking about sell. Sell means to give something for money. Be careful. If you just say to give, I will give it to you, that's for free. That's no money. To give means for free. For example, if I say, oh, do you want this key? I will give you this key. That means there's no money. But if I sell you the key, that means I want you to give me money for it, right? I'm not just going to give you the key. I want something in exchange for that key. In exchange. I want something in exchange. That means I'm like giving you something, you're giving me something. Usually the seller will give the object, the buyer will give money, right? You give money. And that, of course, is what we're talking about here. Sell is like in Korean, you say palda, right? Palda. Is my Korean okay? Is that okay? Palda. That's to sell. You give something, the other person gives you money. That's sell. What's the opposite of sell? 반대로. How do you say that? That, of course, is to buy. You buy something. In that case, you want something, so now you give the money, and the other person gives you the object, okay? So that means to get something by giving money for it, okay? So, of course, buy is 사다, right? 사다, to buy. So you're going to buy something. Now, it's interesting, of course, we just talked about sell, we talked about buy. We can talk about the people involved in both. We have a seller and we have a buyer. So, if you are giving an object and you're taking money in return, you are the seller. But in this case, if you are giving money and getting an object in return, you are the buyer. Usually we are the buyers, right? There are many more buyers than there are sellers, right? A grocery store is one seller, but many buyers go to that store. Okay, so we can say seller and buyer along with sell and to buy. Are those the only two ways that we can get goods and services? Either by selling or by buying? Those are the only two things? There's one more thing we can do, and that is to trade. This is an interesting idea. Before we talked about sell and buy, we're talking about money, right? But in trade, there's no money. To trade means to give someone one thing and get another thing from them. In this case, they're exchanging or they're trading balls. He wants the blue ball, he wants the red ball, so they switch. Imagine you're eating lunch with your friend at school. You have a ham sandwich. Your friend has a cheese sandwich. You say, I will trade you some of my ham for some of your cheese. So you give your friend half half of your ham, not all of your ham, but half of your ham, and your friend gives you half of his cheese. Now you both have a ham and cheese sandwich, right? Because you traded objects. When you trade objects, no money involved, then you are trading. You are exchanging objects. So there's sell, buy, and trade. Those are the three things we do with goods and services. Okay. Now, to pay is very similar when we're talking about to buy or sell. When you say you're going to pay, that means you give money for something. So who gives money? Who pays? Of course, a buyer pays money to the seller. So the buyer will give money. They are paying for the good or service. To pay for something. To pay for something. So this is very commonly used in this way. I will pay for it. I will pay for lunch. Especially if you want to treat your friend to lunch, right? I will pay for lunch. I will pay for this shirt. So you pay for something means you give money in exchange for something else. Okay? Now, to grow, we're talking a little bit different here. Grow, it means just to raise plants or animals. Do you have a pet at home? Maybe you have a pet dog, maybe a cat, perhaps a hamster. If you have one, you are growing that pet, or that pet is growing. Of course, you're raising the animal. Of course, you usually say raise animals, and you say grow plants. This boy here is growing some plants at his house. Farmers grow plants for food, and of course, then they sell those plants, of course, at the market. Now, compare is very important when we're talking about buying and selling, because when you go to the store, you have many different kinds of apples or many different kinds of whatever product. You want to compare those different types of things. Compare means to see how things are different or similar. When we talk about compare, you're looking at the differences and the similarities, right? That is part of comparing something, right? You're seeing how they are different or how they are similar. In this case, this woman is looking at an orange or an apple, and she's got to compare. She's got to think, well, which one do I want? Which one maybe is healthier for me? Which one tastes better? Which one do my children like more? Okay? If you go to the store, you see many different kinds of apples. You can compare the size, the color. You can also compare, very important, you compare the price, right? So you compare prices and you see, oh, these apples are less expensive than those apples. You're comparing, and maybe you want to buy the apples that don't cost so much, okay, that you don't need as much money for. So that's very important. Many people do that when you go to the store, and you should always do that. Compare prices, right? Compare prices to find out which one you can buy, and you can buy easily. Compare prices is very common.
Lesson 11. Goods and Services. Goods. Things that people buy or use. Service. Work that people do for others. Price. The amount of money that you have to give to buy something. Sell. To give something for money. Buy. To get something by giving money for it. Trade. To give someone one thing and get another thing from them. Pay. To give money for something. Grow. To raise plants or animals. Compare. To see how things are different or similar.
And of course, our first word is spend. And as we can see from our unit title, there are basically two things you can do with money: spend it or save it. Talking about spend, spend means to give money to someone else to get goods or services. Get goods or services. So remember, goods are physical objects. Services are things that people do for us. But we want or need these things. And when we get them, we have to spend money to get those things. Now, of course, this woman here is spending money. She's spending money on shoes. So she's going to spend some money to get shoes. Now, she's using a credit card. And that's an interesting one. You can pay by cash, or you can pay by credit, and usually credit card. So you can pay by cash or you can pay by credit card. She's using a credit card, which is like electronic money, isn't it? And she's buying something on the internet. You need to use a credit card to buy on the internet. You can use cash. You can spend cash in a store. So to spend is to give money. Now, the other thing we can do, the opposite, pandero, of spend is to save. That means you don't give the money away. In this case, not to spend. Not. So it's opposite. Not to spend money, you keep it. Keep it for later. So these girls are saving their money. They're putting their coins into a small piggy bank because those coins will add up. They'll have a lot of money later. It's also very wise to save your money for if you need it later. So to save money is the opposite of spending money. Now, when we talk about money, of course, we can also talk about cost. And remember, we talked about this in a previous unit. We talked about cost and we talked about price, right? What is the cost? What is the price? So when we're going to buy something, we can talk about how much does it cost. We can say, what is the price? The price or the cost is the amount of money that you have to pay to get or do something. So if you want to get something or you want to do something, then you consider the cost. Remember, when you're buying something, it's not always an object. That's to pay to get something. But you also pay money to do something. For example, to go on a trip, to go on a vacation, to go bungee jumping, right? That is a service, right? So to do something, you also have to pay money. There's a cost for those things, whether it's an object or something, an activity that you want to do. So she has to think about the cost, right? If she has enough money, she can buy it. She doesn't have enough money, it costs too much. It costs too much. That means I can't pay for it. I don't have enough money. Sad, right? It costs too much. That means I don't have enough money to buy something. Okay, item. Item is one thing that is part of a list or a set. So let's say you're going to go shopping. You need some food for your house. You want to put some food in your refrigerator. So you want to know what you need to buy. Make a list before you go so you don't forget anything. You can look in your refrigerator, say, okay, we need milk, we need potatoes, we need eggs. Write them down. That is a list. Now, each item on the list, we call these items. Each thing on this list is an item. Milk is one item. Potatoes is one item. Eggs is one item. These are items on a list, part of a list or set. Also, when you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu. A menu is a list or a set. So when you're looking at one dish on the menu, that is a menu item. If you say, I want fried chicken, that fried chicken is an item on the menu. Fried chicken is not a menu, it's a menu item. So you say, if you say, what's the menu like? What are the things on the menu? Or do you have a menu? I like this on the menu. What's on the menu are the items on the menu. Don't say, I like this menu, right, for fried chicken. Fried chicken is an item on the menu. So be careful with that. I hear a lot of Konglish using menu. But anyway, item is one thing, one thing. It's part of a list, a set, or a menu is a list of things that you might order at a restaurant. Okay, grocery. A grocery, of course, is a store. What do you buy at a grocery store? Well, you can buy food or sometimes other goods, right? Usually food. A grocery store is usually where you buy food and drink. This woman, she's shopping for, looks like drinks here, and she's going to buy something as a drink. Looks like she's looking in the milk section. Could be some yogurt here as well. But a grocery, you can also buy other goods at a grocery store. For example, cleaning supplies for your house, maybe cups, brooms, things like that. You can buy other items at a grocery store. But mostly you buy food at a grocery store. Mostly grocery stores sell food. So go to the grocery to buy food for your house. Now, a bank is a place where you save money. Just like a grocery is a place where you spend money, right? A store is a place where you spend money. A bank is where you save your money. It's a safe place, right? Now, you could save your money in a variety of ways. You could take your money and put it under your bed, but is that safe? Right? Maybe your brother or sister might find it, or maybe, it might get lost, right? It's not a very safe place to put your money under your bed. But if you put it in a bank, you won't lose it. It will always be there. You can save money at a bank or borrow money. Let's talk about save first. When you go to a bank and you say, I want to save money there, you open a bank account. Open a bank account. So you open a bank account at a bank. It has your name, it has your national ID number on the bank account so they know it's yours, not somebody else with the same name as you. And you can put your money in the bank. You can take your money out of the bank. In some cases, you can borrow money from the bank. So if you go to the bank and say, I want to start a business when you're older, right? You can go to the bank and say, I would like to borrow some money. Can you lend me some money? Borrow money is to take the money from the bank and use it, but you will pay it back later. And of course, if you borrow money, why does a bank lend you money? Because they will charge you more money. They will charge you interest. Interest. Now this is getting interest. Okay, this is getting into more grown-up or adult subjects, but that's okay. Interest, the bank will charge you interest. So when you borrow money, if you borrow $100 and you pay $100 back 3 months from now, you'll probably pay $103 or $105 because that extra money is the interest. That's why the bank will lend it to you. But if you save your money in the bank will pay you interest. If you open a bank account and you put $100 in the bank, after 3 months, maybe you'll have $3 or $5. They'll give you an extra $3 or $5 if you keep your money in the bank. And that's called interest. And that's another reason to save your money in the bank, because you can make interest, a little bit more money. Okay, here we have a shopping list. Before we saw item, right? And we saw a very brief list, and that was a shopping list, right? A shopping list is a list of things that you need to buy. You need to buy. So this looks like a shopping list for a grocery store. We need to buy milk, eggs, bread, butter, cheese, toilet paper, paper towels, dish soap, and bleach. This is food. These are other things, right? So we need to buy food. We need to buy other things for our house. Of course, we're going to go to a grocery store. Before we go, we make a shopping list. That way, we don't forget anything, right? We go to the store, we buy many things. If we don't have a shopping list, we come back home and go, oh, I forgot to buy paper towels. Okay? So make a list before you go and check off the list. Check off the items. That means as you buy each item, you check it off. Milk, got it. Dish soap, I got it, right? You check off the items that you buy. That way you don't forget anything on your shopping list. Okay, piggy bank, right? We saw that before. We've seen it a couple of times before. It's very cute, right? No more kiepjie. Okay, very cute piggy bank. A piggy bank, we talked about bank, right? That's a building, that's a place, a very formal place to save your money. Another place that you can save money, like coins and things, not a lot of money, but you can put your coins into a piggy bank. It's a pig-shaped money box that children save coins in. Save coins usually. Sometimes people might put a bill, like a $1 bill in there, but usually you put your coins in there. At the end of the day, right, if you spend money during the day, at the end of the day, go into your pockets. You have begwan, shipwan, oh shipwan, maybe oh begwan, yeah, okay? And you don't want to carry those around with you every day, so you put them in your piggy bank. It's interesting because Koreans think pigs are lucky, right? If you have a dream about pigs, you think, wow, I'm going to get a lot of money. It's very interesting. In America, we have this similar idea. If you have a pig, you know, farmers who have big fat pigs, they're rich, right? So that's why the bank, the little toy, it's like a toy, but it's something useful. It looks like a pig because if you fill it up with coins, you have a lot of money. So you see, Korean and American ideas are very similar. Actually, it's probably similar all around the world, right? People have the same ideas, many of the same ideas in many different cultures. Okay, but anyway, we save money in a piggy bank. And you probably have a piggy bank yourself. Some piggy banks have a little thing on the bottom. You open it up, and then you can pour the coins out. Some piggy banks, they don't have that. The only way to open it is to break it, right? So those are that's also another way to get the money out. To break the piggy bank, the piggy bank is to get all the money out. But usually, if it's made of plastic, you don't have to break it. You just open it up. But it's easier to do that. So you know, it's like, do you save the money? Do you take any out? Depends on the type of piggy bank you have. Okay, so piggy banks. You can save your coins in there. Save it, don't spend it.
Lesson 12. Spending and saving. Spend. To give money to someone else to get goods or services. Save. Not to spend money and keep it for later. Cost. The amount of money that you have to pay to get or do something. Item. One thing that is part of a list or set. Grocery. A store where you can buy food or other goods. Bank. A safe place where you can save or borrow money. Shopping list. A list of things that you need to buy. Piggy bank. A pig-shaped money box that children save coins in.
The first word, of course, we're talking about is the earth. The earth. This is where we all live. None of you live anywhere else except for on the earth, right? None of you live on the moon yet. Maybe someday we'll live on the moon, but not yet. Right now we live on the earth, and the earth is the third planet from the sun. There's actually a famous TV show in America. It's called The Third Rock from the Sun. And this, of course, is it's a fun way of saying the third planet from the sun, the third rock. Because if you think about it, the planets are like big rocks, right? What are the first three? There's Mercury, Venus, then Earth, okay? Then the fourth one, of course, is Mars. Those are the small planets next to the sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, that's us, and then Mars. And then there are other planets after that, the big ones. But anyway, this is the Earth, and this is what the Earth looks like from space, right? So we can see it's a very beautiful planet, and it's where we live. It's our home. It's the only planet like this in our solar system. And it's the third planet from the sun. So the sun is here, Mercury, Venus, Earth, that's us. Yay! Okay? So 1, 2, 3. The third planet from the sun. Okay, our next word is globe. Globe is a round object. It's round. It's like a ball, right? A ball that you bounce. Don't bounce the globe, right? It won't bounce. But it's the same shape as a basketball or baseball, things that are round, the same shape. It's a round object that is a model of Earth. It's a model. It's not the Earth, right? It'd be too big. It's a model of the Earth. We make it smaller. It is like a symbol of the Earth. And it is a model of the Earth, so it looks like the Earth, the way the Earth actually looks like. You can see the different parts of the Earth on the globe. It's like a map, but it's a map in 3D. You know 3D, of course. 3D as opposed to 2D. 2D is a paper map. A paper map. A paper map only has 2 dimensions, right? There's the dimension wide and there's the dimension tall. But 3D has 3 dimensions. You have this way, you have that way, but you also have inside. You have 3 dimensions. So a globe is a model of the Earth that is in 3 dimensions, and it looks like the Earth. It's more accurate than a map. A map is only flat. It's paper that it has only 2 dimensions. And because it's only 2 dimensions, some of the Earth that is on the map is bigger than it should be. Like on the edges of the map, it's bigger than on the center. So a globe is a much more accurate or better model of what the Earth looks like than a map. Land. Land, of course, on the Earth is where the hard surface of the Earth is, as opposed to water. Water is not the hard surface, right? You can't stand on water, right? You sink in the water. You'll go down in the water. But on land, we can stand up. The land is hard. We won't sink in the land. Of course, we live on land. If it was just water, we wouldn't be able to survive, or we would be fish, right? We would be something else. But we wouldn't be human beings if there was no land on the Earth. So land is the hard surface of the Earth. Land is also where we grow our food that we need. This looks like a farm, and they're preparing to plant crops. Okay, when we talk about land, we can also talk about continent. Continent. A continent is a very big piece of land, a very large area of land. A very large area of land or a very large piece of land. This is a continent. This is the continent of North America. It is very, very large. America, North America. So it includes many countries. You have Canada, the United States, Mexico, Cuba, and other countries in the Caribbean. This is all North America, a very large piece of land. By the way, how many continents does the Earth have? Do you know the answer? In America, we're taught that there are 7 continents. We'll see a chart. What are they? We'll see a chart later on in this lesson. What are the 7 continents on Earth? So I'll leave you in suspense, right? Think about that. We'll come to the chart soon. What are the 7 major continents on Earth? Think about that. We'll come there soon. We'll talk about that soon. Now that's continent. What about ocean, right? I talked about land. When I said land, right, is the hard surface of the Earth. Those are where the continents and islands are. That's where we stand. But the other part of the Earth, most of the Earth, is not hard surface. It's soft, right? It's the ocean. It's covered by water. There are oceans on the Earth. Ocean is a large area of salt water. Salt is the key. Salt water that covers most of Earth. Because there are large freshwater areas, those are called lakes, okay? But if it's salt water and it's very large, it's called an ocean. How many oceans are there on Earth, right? I said there are 7 continents. How many oceans? Do you know how many? If you chose 5, you would be correct. What are they? Think about that. That's part of the chart that we'll talk about next. Or not next, but soon. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Think about that. Okay, so continents and oceans. Now, also, when we talk about the Earth, especially when we look at a map, it's very important to notice the compass rose on a map. The compass rose. It's not a flower, okay? It just looks like a rose, right? It kind of looks like a rose, so people say it's a compass rose. Now, a compass rose is a symbol. It's a symbol. It's not real. It's a symbol. Where do we find this symbol? We find the symbol on maps. What does it do? It shows directions. So it's a symbol on maps that shows directions. So if you look at the map, you can find the compass rose printed on the map, and it shows which way is north, which way is east, which way is south, which way is west. That's what your compass rose will show you. It will show you directions. So if you're looking at a map and you're thinking, well, which way is north? Look for the compass rose. It will show you. So the compass rose is very important, as we can see in this video. Now, this is not a compass rose. This is an actual compass. So what you do when you have a compass and a map, you have to change the direction of the compass to match the compass rose that we can't see on this map. But what this person is doing, they have to match so that north on the compass is north here is pointing the same direction as the compass rose on the map. So what they have to do is they have to turn the compass so that north and north on the compass rose on the map are the same. And then they can figure out which direction on the map to go. For example, they want to go from this city over to this city. They line it up, but this way is north. They have to go that direction. They can see exactly what direction they have to go in to get to the next city. And that's very important, obviously. When you look at the map, you see the direction, then you put the map away and you go in that direction. You can use your compass to walk or to drive, to ride a horse, do whatever you want to get to the other place. But you need to know the direction. The compass rose will tell you the direction on the map.
Lesson 13. Here on Earth. Earth, the third planet from the Sun. Globe, a round object that is a model of Earth. Land, the hard surface of Earth. Continent, a very large area of land. Ocean, a large area of salt water that covers most of Earth. Compass rose, a symbol that shows directions on maps.
Weather. What is weather, right? That's our first vocabulary word. Weather is the conditions of the air outside, right? If we go outside of the building, outside of our home, outside of our school, outside, what are the conditions of the air? We can say, how's the weather? How's the weather? That's one way. How's the weather? How's the weather outside? How's the weather outside? Or how's the weather? We could also say, what is the weather? What is the weather like? What is the weather like? So what is it like? How is it? How's the weather? What is the weather like? You can see there are many different conditions of the air outside. It can be hot, right? It can be windy. This picture shows really strong wind, right? Really strong wind, very windy. This one, what's the weather like? In this picture, we can see snowflakes. It's snowing. So it's snowing. Oh, snowing. And over here, we see raindrops. So here it is raining. Wow. It's a very busy slide, right? Okay, so the conditions of the air outside. How's the weather? What is the weather like? It's hot. It's windy. It's snowing. It's raining. We're talking about different types of weather. Okay, so we can talk about the weather. We can also talk about the seasons because weather changes in each season. What is a season? A season is any of the 4 main periods of the year, especially in countries that are more northern, right? So like in Korea, there are 4 main seasons of the year. Well, think about that. In a year, how many months are in a year? There are 12 months. So if we think about that, there are 4 main periods of the year. We divide 12 by 4, we get 3. So what does that tell us? That means 3 months for each season, right? What are the seasons? Of course, we can see them here. This, of course, is, well, they kind of ordered it a little bit okay here. This starting off with spring, okay? Then what do we have after spring? Of course, we have summer. Then we have fall. Things are turning brown and leaves are falling from the tree. And then we have winter. Everything is covered with snow. So when we take a look at 3 months, 3 months for spring, 3 months for summer, 3 months for fall, 3 months for winter. Each season is 3 months long. 4 main periods of the year divided by 12 divided by 4 is 3 months for each season. About that much. And the weather, we can see the weather changes for each season. Let's talk about that. The first one we talked about was spring, right? Spring is the season between winter and summer. What is the weather like in the spring? Well, in the spring it gets warmer, doesn't it? Because it's after the winter, so it gets warmer. Also in the spring, you'll notice it rains a lot, right? It rains a lot. So the weather in the spring is that it's warmer and it rains a lot. A lot of rain comes down. And spring is between winter and summer. After spring, we have summer, right? Summer is the next season. The warmest season of the year coming after spring. So summer is the warmest season. In fact, I would say it's not just warm, it's hot. Especially here in Korea, it gets really hot. And also it gets sipgi. You say sipgi, right? Sipgi, that means humid. It's very humid. There's a lot of moisture in the air. So hot and humid. And it also rains quite a bit. It can rain quite a bit in the summer as well. So it's hot and humid, a good time to go swimming with your friends at the beach or in a swimming pool, right? Good time for swimming. So that's the warmest season of the year. After summer, fall. Fall is the season between summer and winter. Very easy, right? It follows summer, it's before winter. What is the weather like in the fall? The weather gets cooler. So it's cooler in the fall, and usually we have clear skies. Clear skies. So not a lot of rain, but we have wind, right? Cooler, it's windy, and because it's windy, we have clear skies because the wind makes the skies very clear. So it's cooler, it's windy, and we have clear skies in the fall. What's after fall? Of course, winter, right? Ooh, winter, it's very cold, right? The coldest season of the year coming after fall. So of course, what is the weather like in the winter? We can see, of course, that it's cold. It's so cold, very cold, really cold in the winter. And of course, it's snowy. A lot of snow comes down in the winter. So it's cold and snowy in the winter. Okay, we talked a little bit about temperature for each season, spring, summer, fall, and winter. At each season, I said, it's warm, it's hot, it's cool, or it's cold. When we talk about those things, we're talking about temperature. Everybody, temperature. So temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. It's a measure because, we can say in the spring it's warm. But what do we mean by warm? If I say it's warm, another person may say, no, it's not warm, it's kind of cool. We need to have an exact measurement so everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. And by that, we use temperature. So if I say that it is 50 degrees out, or it looks like, this is 80 degrees. Sorry, it's hard to read that picture. If it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, if it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I understand exactly how warm it is. I understand exactly how hot or cool or warm it is. Now in America, they use Fahrenheit. That's here, the degrees Fahrenheit on this picture. But in Korea and everywhere else in the world, you of course use Celsius. So 80 degrees Fahrenheit looks like about 26 degrees Celsius. It's about the same as 26 degrees Celsius. That's warm, isn't it? If it's 26 degrees Celsius, that's usually summertime. Okay, that's warm temperature. Okay, so temperature is how hot or cold something is, and it's exact. If I say it's 26 degrees Celsius, you know exactly how hot it is, right? I don't just say it's hot. How hot? 26 degrees Celsius. Ooh, that's hot, okay? Okay, cloud. A cloud is many drops of water together in the air. So if you're talking about moisture, air rising up into the cool air, way up above the earth, right? Those water droplets will get together. They will condense. They will gather together, and they will form a cloud. And we can see on nice days, we can see nice clouds that look like this. On rainy days, the sky is nothing but clouds. It's all gray and overcast, right? So if there are many clouds, we say it's overcast. Overcast means very cloudy. Very cloudy. And this, of course, is a weather type. It's very cloudy or it's overcast. Probably it will rain. This is not overcast. This is just a few clouds in the sky. It's not cloudy. This is a nice day, right? Not cloudy. But if there are many clouds, we say it's very cloudy or overcast. Okay.
Lesson 14. Weather and seasons. Weather. The conditions of the air outside. Season. Any of the 4 main periods of the year. Spring. The season between winter and summer. Summer. The warmest season of the year coming after spring. Fall. The season between summer and winter. Winter. The coldest season of the year coming after fall. Temperature. A measure of how hot or cold something is. Cloud. Many drops of water together in the air.
Let's get started with the first one. The first one is mountain. Mountain, very tall mountains, as you can see in this picture. A mountain is the highest type of land. The highest type of land. The most high. Of course, don't say most high. It's the highest. It's the highest place that you can go on earth is in a mountain. Where is the highest place you can go on earth? Do you know the highest mountain? It's Mount Everest, right? Mount Everest is the highest place, a very tall mountain. Mount Everest is the highest place on land. That would be a mountain. What about a plain? If you talk about a mountain, it's like the opposite of a mountain is a plain, because mountains are very tall and mountains are very steep. But a plain is very flat. A plain is a large, flat piece of land. You can see forever, right? You don't see any trees, you don't see any mountains, you don't see any hills, just very flat land, a very large plain. And usually animals live on the plains. Large groups of animals will live together and run across the plains, and they eat the plants that grow on the plain. Okay, we also have a desert, and a desert is a very different type of place. It's a very beautiful place, as you can see, but it's also a difficult place to live. Why is it so difficult? Because a desert is a very dry area of land. There's not much water, or very, very little water in a desert. So plants and animals can't live there. It's very difficult for living things to live in a desert. You see these people here, they're just passing through. They have to get out of the desert to find some plants and water in order to survive, right? So they're just passing through. Okay, we also have a river. Now a river is much different than a desert, right? A river's got lots of water in it, right? And usually we find rivers in mountains, but also on plains. This river is going through a mountain here, and it's going pretty fast. A river is a large stream of moving water. Moving water. The river means that the water is moving. If it's not moving, we call it something different. We'll get to that in a second. But the river means that the water is moving. Now there's another word here that's interesting, a stream. So we have streams and we have rivers. Streams are usually smaller, right? If there's just a little bit of water and maybe you can step across it, we call that a stream. Rivers are larger. It's more difficult to cross a river. You can't jump over it. You can't step over it. You have to walk through it or be very, very careful. Sometimes you have to swim across a river, but be careful crossing a river. Don't cross the river unless an adult is with you, or maybe there's a bridge, or the river isn't moving very fast. But be very careful around rivers because it's moving water. It could be dangerous. Okay. Also, we have valleys. You will find, where do you find valleys? Do you find valleys on plains? No, you wouldn't find valleys and plains, because valleys mean that you have two sides, right? Plains are very flat. So you would find a valley where? That's right, in the mountains, right? So on either side you have mountains, and between the mountains you have a valley, because a valley is the lowland between mountains and hills. Okay? So when you have a mountain, right, the land goes up on either side. Between those, you have a valley. And some valleys are very beautiful. People put houses in there. Of course, valleys are easy that you can come up into the mountains. You go through the valley, and that's how you get up into the mountains, an easier way than climbing up the side of the mountain, which is very difficult. Okay. Remember I said that a river is moving water. If the water is not moving, then we can call it a lake. One thing we can call it is a lake. A lake is a large area of fresh water, right? Rivers and streams are usually fresh water. And if the river stops moving and it grows in area, we call that a lake. And of course, we find many lakes in mountains, but you can find lakes in all sorts of places, right? Also on the plains, in hills, but in mountains also especially. This is a very beautiful lake in the mountain. It's a small lake. Some lakes are really, really big. You can't see across them. But if it's fresh water, we call it a lake, not an ocean, right? So fresh water is a lake. Okay, also we have a hill. A hill is just a higher part of a land, right? Sometimes, of course, you have plains, right? And sometimes the plains will stop and the land will rise gently. Not very steeply like a mountain, but a very gentle rise. And the land won't go up very high. We call these areas hills. And especially if you have a lot of hills, it's very gentle. You can call them rolling hills. Rolling hills. Because it seems like, whoa, rolling hills, it seems like the land is rolling, right? Seems very gentle and very nice. So hills are a higher area of land, and they're fun to run up and run down. And when the winter comes and there's snow on the hill, you can take a sled and slide down the hill. Okay. We also have an interesting type of land called an island. In the ocean, you can find islands, but you can also find islands in lakes sometimes too, if the lake is very big. An island is just a piece of land with water all around it, like these. We have two islands here. There's water all around these pieces of land, right? So we call these islands. By the way, we don't pronounce the S in island. It's just island. Not island, island, island. Okay, so an island is a piece of land with water all the way around it. Some islands are very beautiful, especially in the Pacific Ocean. Very beautiful, nice beaches. They're very beautiful islands in the ocean.
Lesson 15. Land and water. Mountain. The highest type of land. Plain. A large flat piece of land. Desert. A very dry area of land. River. A large stream of moving water. Valley. The lowland between mountains and hills. Lake. A large area of fresh water. Hill. A higher area of land. Island. A piece of land with water all around it.